Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse continues on from Into the Spider-Verse as a threat emerges from the consequences of the multiversal travel in the prior movie. The threat is the Spot, a villain with the capabilities to traverse the multiverse and wreak havoc, especially to Miles Morales. I enjoyed the first film, it didn't blow me away. I know a lot of people really thought that was like almost the definitive Spider-Man movie, and whilst I thought it was pretty good, that's kind of where it ended for me. It didn't, reach like really massive levels. But this sequel here was excellent, raising the stakes both in the grand scheme of the multiverse and personally for our main characters like Miles and Gwen. A sequel like this is always going to be about expansion, particularly with the theme of the multiverse, many variations of Spider-Man. And this sequel expanded on that just in an abundance, like you wouldn't even believe. You get shown a ridiculous amount of variations of Spider-Man, and it just spans so much from live action to animation, to the Spider-Man from the PlayStation video game, to a Lego version of Spider-Man. You just get so much. One of the main additions in this film was Spider-Man 2099, who runs the Spider Society, and this society contains all the Spider people trying to keep everything ticking along smoothly across the multiverse. Oscar Isaac voices Spider-Man 2099, and it was such great casting for that role. He is a very intriguing character. He's not just another Spider-Man. He's got a lot at stake, and he's got these beliefs that conflict with our main characters, and it creates a very fun and interesting and exciting dynamic that I wasn't expecting for this film, because you expect all Spider people to just get along, but there really is a bit of a conflict here. Early on, the story is intriguing. There are some minor stakes, but nothing feels like a major stake. Nothing feels too wild. It feels like things are kind of under control, and it feels like the stakes aren't really high for some of our main characters like Miles and Gwen, but as it progresses, the stakes do raise and it becomes personal issues for Miles and Gwen, and that's when everything just seems to heighten. There are some really exhilarating sequences in this movie, particularly in like the middle to later section of this film, that are just so gripping and you just can't pull your eyes off it. It really does suck you in. And there are two reasons that this film in general was just so exhilarating, and one of them is the soundtrack. It was a really, really good score in this movie, and it made things a little bit more dark, a little bit more serious than I was expecting for this film, because obviously it's quite a fun, animated movie for, a lot of parts, but it really did kind of bring things down to a more grounded level and just, give it that more serious vibe. And it really did work for this film. The other reason, of course, is the animation, and I can't really put into words how impressive it is. All I can say is it's outstanding. I can't begin to imagine how difficult it was to make this movie. But wow, this animation is just phenomenal, and it's a pure visual treat. There really is a lot to praise about this movie, whether it be the voice acting, the soundtrack, the designs, the animation. The humor as well was pretty good in this movie. It felt very just balanced. They weren't afraid to crack jokes, but they never overdid it. They never did it at a time where it felt like it would be the wrong time to crack a joke. They never ruined like a serious moment with a stupid one-liner. They implement them at the right points, and it did just flow really nicely. And I think if you're a fan of Spider-Man over all platforms such as live action, animation, video games, so on and so forth, that's when you're going to appreciate things like the humor and just the film as a whole to like the most you can enjoy it, because you can really appreciate all the elements. You can appreciate the references. I'm sure there's some stuff that went over my head because I'm not like a mega fan, and I haven't like really delved into comics ever in my life, so there's some things I'm sure that I couldn't appreciate, but I felt like I could grasp a lot of this movie because I've, seen all the live action, because I've played the games, so there's definitely a lot here for Spider-Man fans. There's one issue with this movie, and it's not like a creative issue, it's just one to do with the audio, particularly like the audio levels and the audio balance. There are segments where music is playing and then a character will be speaking at the same time, and I found it really difficult at times to try and understand what a character would be saying. And I've heard this complaint actually, like I saw about it yesterday, that people were sort of complaining about the audio and that they couldn't quite hear characters, and I do understand that now after seeing it. I think there's just a little issue with the balance there. They either needed to crank the music down or crank the dialogue up, because it is quite difficult at times, particularly in an opening segment with Gwen Stacy. You know, you've kind of got this rock music playing and she's speaking, and I only got about half of it. But it's not much of an issue, it's just something I picked up on, and, you know, there's not really any faults to this movie. I thought it was just really good fun, and definitely an improvement on the last film. For me personally, live action Spider-Man will always take the cake. You know, the live action stuff always just feels a little more emotionally impactful to me, and just more exciting, and I get more invested in a live action film than I think I ever will for an animated Spider-Man film. But saying that, this is still a great Spider-Man movie. It's worthy. It's up there with some of the best, and it was just a really, really great sequel. I like where this story is going, and I'm very intrigued to see what they do for the final installment, what I think will be the final installment. I don't know if they're going to go beyond the trilogy, but either way, I'm looking to whatever's next. I would give Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse an 8.5 out of 10, and in terms of the rewatchability rating, I would definitely watch this on late night TV. Possibly rewatch occasionally. It's worth considering. I don't really go back to like animated movies as much, but there's definitely a chance I would rewatch this. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.